George Washington Carver's story is a story that should be shared and glorified. Born into slavery January 1st, 1864, in Diamond Grove, Missouri, George Washington Carver's family got their name from their slave owner Moses Carver. He had purchased George's parents, Mary and Giles, for $700. His father passed before he was born, and when he was a week old, he, his mama, and his sister were kidnapped by night riders from Arkansas. And the Night Riders, also known as the Silent Brigade, were a copycat group of the KKK who basically did the same things. They sold George, his mom, and his sister in Kentucky. Moses Carver hired a man named John Bentley to find him, but he was only able to find George. George was raised by Moses and his wife, but because blacks weren't allowed in public schools, he had to go to a school for blacks 10 miles away. He ended up meeting a woman named Mariah Watkins, and when he introduced himself, he said Carver's George because that's how he had said it his whole life. She gave him the name George Carver. At the age of 13, he witnessed a black man being killed by a group of white men, which caused him to leave that city. He would eventually graduate from Minneapolis High School in Minneapolis, Kansas. There was another George Carver in the same town, so he decided to add a random middle initial, which was W. His friend asked if the W stood for Washington, and he said, "Why not?" So that's how he got his name, George Washington Carver. He was accepted at Highland University, but when he arrived, they refused to let him in because of his race. In 1888, he got a $300 loan from a bank for education, which allowed him to study art and piano at Simpson College in Iowa. There, his teacher encouraged him to study botany at Iowa State Agricultural College, which is now Iowa State University. In 1891, he became the first black student at Iowa State and would eventually get his master's degree in 1896. He taught as the first black faculty member at Iowa State. He never actually received a doctorate, but both Simpson College and Selma University awarded him honorary doctorates of science. That same year, he was invited by Booker T. Washington to the Tuskegee Institute to head his agricultural department, where he taught for 47 years, teaching black students farming techniques. He would then develop techniques to improve the soil. Basically, the soil would become destroyed by repeatedly planting cotton, so he came up with ways to restore it by what he called systematic crop rotation. By alternating the crops with sweet potatoes, peanuts, soybeans, and cowpeas, it would restore the nitrogen in the soil. He started training farmers this method. He founded a research laboratory where he would develop hundreds of applications for his new crops. His work would become known before he was to become a public figure. In 1916, George was made a member of the Royal Society of Arts in England. In 1921, the Republic of China started undercutting prices on imported peanuts, so American peanut farmers appeared before Congress to ask for a tariff. Due to segregation, blacks didn't appear as expert witnesses.